So welcome everyone. My name is Alison Sachs and I am the Director of Cancer Support Services at Eisenhower's Lucy Curci Cancer Center. And we're very delighted to bring you this special panel presentation today. As a reminder, this is an informal discussion that we're excited to have and bring you into it. So don't hesitate to use your Q&A. You'll have that little box at the bottom of your screen and throw your questions in there for us and we will do our best to answer them. A little housekeeping before I introduce our panel members. There we go, sorry about that. Besides asking questions through our Q&A and putting them in there, and we'll do our best, let me share with you that June is Cancer Survivors Month, and that's why we are bringing you these very special presentations. Today, it's about managing the stress of a cancer diagnosis. On the 23rd, June 23rd, Thursday, we'll also be bringing you a panel discussion on support for cancer survivors and their loved ones. What is the role of an oncology-trained social worker, an oncology-trained counselor? And why do we offer those services here at Lucy Curci? What's the importance of them and how you may benefit from them? So we're looking forward to today, and then we're looking forward to Thursday, June 23rd. You can certainly register for the 23rd by going to eisenhowerhealth.org/calendar. And you may call 760-834-3798 for assistance. So there we go. Let me share quickly a little bit. Those of you who joined us a little bit early may have heard me tell both Kathleen and Michelle that my fault, I didn't ask them to send me a proper introduction so I could tell you all about the things they do in their training and their background. So I will let them do that when they speak for the first time. But let me share with you that Kathleen Lubanski has been with Eisenhower Lucy Curci Cancer Center for, what do you think, Kathleen, how long?
5, 7 years?
Yeah, at least 7 years, as really our expert in mindfulness and meditation, relaxation, stress management. Kathleen will share a little bit with you, but I can share with you that she is a trained nurse and a nurse practitioner, correct?
Correct, yes.
I'm doing this pretty good off the top of my head.
Yeah.
And we always joke that the staff will tell me they know when Kathleen is in the building because my shoulders go from here to here right away, just looking at her. Isn't that lovely? So we're so delighted, and we will speak with Kathleen in just a moment. After a little bit of discussion with Kathleen, we will be joining us is Mixel Ventura. Michelle, how long have you been with us now at Lucy Curci?
It's about 2 years now.
About 2 years. Well, we were very, very excited, and I was excited to learn, having known Michelle in another way previous to her joining us at Lucy Curci, that she holds a master's in social work and really unique and specialized training in the use of different modalities to bring a sense of wellness and peace and calmness to you. We have a particular class that Michelle does here for us using sound and sound vibration. And I am happy to let you know that her participants just continuously sing the praises of this song and this class and the benefits as well. So we'll get into more of that in just a bit. So let's start off, Kathleen. We've all created some questions that we can share. Will you define stress for us first and foremost? That's what we're talking about. What's stress?
Stress is the physical, mental, emotional experience in a reaction to an event. Typically, stress is experienced when our perceived demands exceeds our perceived resources. So you have demands and you have resources. And that's pretty much defining what stress is in a nutshell.
Well, I can certainly relate to that. As the last few weeks, there's been so many demands from family and work for me that I feel like that's gone like that. That was a really good visual. And I'm kind of going like this.
Yes.
as I'm feeling, I guess the term for me is I'm feeling overwhelmed by it all. And I hear that term a lot. So is stress bad for you? I mean, is it dangerous?
No, we need some stress in our lives. In fact, we need a little stimulation to get going in the morning. And that is stressful in itself, but it's a good stress, okay? Let me show a diagram if I may. I'm not sure how.
Oh, we can see that.
See it, okay. So initially, like this morning, we got up, we had some arousal, and we were going to have our coffee, tea, get ready to go to work, which hopefully is a joyful, pleasant experience. And then you get into kind of your comfort zone and enjoying that. And then as the day goes on, you know, you have certain triggers, certain demands, certain requests that you start to exude your mental, physical, emotional capabilities. And then after a while, you become fatigued and maybe tired and exhausted, okay? And so this cycle, this little curve can occur anytime, anywhere, but it's a good illustration about stress, okay? Now, stress management techniques, when you learn some, help you maintain this arousal performance so that you can add on to your comfort and extend it out. So instead of curving and becoming fatigued and exhausted, you can continue in a comfortable, enjoyable fashion out like a plateau. So you're not feeling so drained and tired, okay? In stress management techniques, there are a variety of kinds, okay? Depending on one's individual makeup, some people are prone to physical exercise like walking, yoga, Tai Chi. Others like to do gardening. Others are more into cognitive relaxation, maybe doing some crossword puzzles, reading, those kinds of things too. Basically, what we're trying to do is restore our battery. We only have so much fuel in the battery cell each day. And as the day goes on, that cell gets low, low, low. So what will restore, regenerate that fuel for you?
So everyone will be a little different is what you're telling me.
Yes.
Some of us maybe have a little more store,
right,
and some a little less, depending on our life in general, maybe past experiences, etc. Interesting. So is there like a chemical response in our bodies? Does something change?
Definitely. Within the amygdala and the hypothalamus, we have like a watchtower that's occurring in the middle of the brain that wants to protect us, to keep us out of harm's way. So this is being very vigilant all the time. And it's being vigilant to the degree of safety, okay? And safety could be very small or very large. Very small could be like getting bit by a bug. Very large could be getting in an automobile accident or having a heart attack, okay? Those are very big. So this watchtower in our brain, when we get a sense of stress, basically negative stress, there's a umbrella of chemicals and hormones that get released immediately or like in a nanosecond in the bloodstream that cause our body to go in the fight or flight response to get us out of harm's way. And it will do that to get us out of harm's way. But the trick nowadays is to resolve all those chemicals and hormones back down to a baseline that the body will absorb. And what we found living in our current situation with all the environmental stresses that have occurred, that the downslope does not go down to baseline. So therefore, it's reached a new normal. It's established a new normal within our bodies that we maintain a lot of the sugars, the hormones that don't get dissipated, okay?
Oh.
And so by providing and practicing some of these simple self-care techniques will help restore and resolve some of those chemicals so that you can feel a little bit better. Okay, so basically we're working with the autonomic nervous system instead of the go, 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 or the sympathetic will get you out of harm's way. By practicing these other techniques will activate the parasympathetic nervous system, which is the rest, relaxation, the restoration response that makes you feel good. And it's like, oh, my cup is now being added to, I'm being renourished, basically.
For those of you that are listening with us, isn't that a wonderful explanation? Because as some of us, I have been doing an old form of meditation called Transcendental Meditation for many, many, many years. I'm talking about since like the 70s, you guys, and then we don't get into age or anything. But often through the years, I have had loving, caring friends or family tease me about my woo-woo meditation, woo, you know. And when you listen to Kathleen, what you hear is this isn't some magical pulled out of the sky. This is a very physiological response.
Right.
And I mean, for those of us cancer survivors, hello, we all know what that stress feels like. We all know what that fight or flight feels like, and how wonderful to hear there's something we can do, and Michelle will share the same, other than put a pill in our mouth.
Yes.
Or a needle in our arm, that there's other things that we can do to combat that anxious feeling, that things aren't okay feeling. So I'm just delighted. And then, you know, I think there's different concerns that cancer patients have during treatment, after treatment. And I think they're common concerns, and I've heard you speak about them before. Kathleen, would you share some of that with us?
Some concerns with cancer patients, yes, have to do with fear of reoccurrence,
Right,
or anxiety about that. To fatigue is another one, just not having enough energy to get through the day or to do what they need to do for their family and their loved ones and for themselves. There could be some cognitive difficulties or changes. Some people talk about a chemo brain that continues to linger after treatment. There could be some specific cancer-specific sequelae unique to that particular diagnosis that they're having to deal with or manage. And then there's the review of having gone through the journey of the treatment and being told you're cancer-free, but, and then there's that but hanging over your head. And trying to live with that concern.
You know, I think that's so true. Sometimes in the groups and the work I'll do with cancer patients, and my own experience actually, sometimes also what I'll hear is, you know, I thought I'd be relieved when I got all done with my treatment, but you know, when I was in treatment, everybody was watching me. I felt really well cared for. The nurses, the doctors, the phlebotomists, the social workers, everybody was paying attention. Yes. Now I see them three times a year, 5. I'm actually more nervous now because I feel like who's paying attention? And that's that fear of recurrence.
Right.
Yeah,
right.
Very much so. So how do you know you're stressed? I mean, I guess there's feelings, there's different things that, hey, this is stress.
Well, stress is, you know, like an umbrella term for a lot of categories, Alison. You have feelings, you know, so in the category of feelings, you can have fear and depression and being irritable, Okay. Another category under stress can be behavior. Sleep changes often happen when you're in recovery and after treatment, as well as avoiding others. Another category is your thoughts. We're not all the thoughts that are generated from the mind. The mind is a funny organ. It will generate like 60,000 thoughts a day. And not every thought is true. Not every thought do we have to act on. So, I would review the thought category. Social, another aspect of being stressed. You could be lashing out on your loved ones, on your friends, and not really realizing that that's part of the stress umbrella. And then lastly, physical changes. You still may be having some pain or discomfort from the site that your cancer was located. Body image changes and fatigue. So, a lot of these get dispersed and intermixed, and it's hard to feather out what's really going on. And some of these stress management techniques that we offer help one calm down the busy mind and is able to kind of identify, well, oh, this is what's causing me to do this. If I just, instead of react, maybe I should respond. And maybe I can learn how to respond by just practicing some breathing techniques or listening to some calming sounds,
So, that's just perfect. You moved us right into what are some relaxation techniques? We can't do a whole class, but
Sure.
What can you share with us?
Well, there's some what I call conscious breathing techniques,
Okay.
like bringing a finger up to the bridge of your upper lip, closing your eyes, and just bringing your attention there and starting to sense the temperature of the air as you're breathing in. So let's just do that for a moment. Close your eyes and just, if you can, get a sense of the temperature on the inhale. And then as you exhale, what's the temperature there? And you'll notice the difference between the two. On the inhale, the temperature is
cooler.
And then on the exhale, it's warm. Okay, so it's bringing us from being scattered and doing multiple things to focusing on one item right now. And that's my breath, and that's the temperature. Another conscious breathing technique is by, just breathing like 5 times, but slowly and completely utilizing each finger. So for instance, let's take a nice, slow, deep breath in. Thumb and index finger, we're going to press and breathe in. And then on the exhalation, just let it out and breathe out. Breathing in, thumb and third finger, breathing in. On the exhale, release and let it go and breathe out. And breathing out is actually exercising the parasympathetic nervous system, which is responsible for rest, relaxation, and restoration. Even if it's only for a few seconds, it will help you calm down. Another technique is you can practice as you're walking during the day. You can say a mantra to yourself instead of what if, or what I got to do, instead of the hamster negativity wheel, you can say, I'm at ease, or I'm at peace, or I feel good, or I'm calm. As you're walking along, repeating to yourself, I am calm. And so it helps switch the negativity bias to a more positive role. And in a way, you're opening yourself up to being more grateful for what you have today, mindful right now to the here and now, not worrying about the next minute and not reviewing what just happened, but being present right now, like we all are, we're present. So those are some few techniques that we practice when we do the Stress Less class.
And now you all know why we do that. Isn't that wonderful? Really, Kathleen. And is listening to you, I think of a conversation my husband and I had the other night, and he walked in to the bedroom. I have those electric beds. So when I'm ready to watch my shows that he doesn't like, I go in, put that bed up, put the TV on. That's my time. And I just love it. I do. And Neil knows that, and he's so respectful, and he thinks that's great that I take that hour. But the other night he walked in, he said, I have to interrupt you because I have to point out something. And I'm like, oh, I'm watching this great show. What? And he said, you have the TV on, you have your cell phone in your hand, and you have your iPad open in your lap. Do you really think that's relaxing, Allie? And you know what? It isn't. And I didn't even realize that that's what I was doing. And that multitasking that so many of us, especially with our electronic devices, have turned to control everything around us, for me, just escalates exactly what you and Michelle are trying to teach us to de-escalate from. So all of those techniques, thank you for sharing those, because for those, you need to close your iPad, turn your phone off, turn the TV off, and just be.
Yes.
How wonderful. Michelle, I had a lot of fun through this, watching you shaking your head, smiling, going, mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, I really appreciate your time and your being here. And we call our class Healing Sound. And often a lot of people go, I love music, but what do you mean by healing sound? Would you share with us what is healing sound?
Sure. Yeah, it's, healing sound, it's an ancient tradition, almost cross-culturally for thousands of years. Most cultures, most religions have used sound in a way that is healing. And so what I'm doing, working with instruments that create sound and vibration, it's a healing modality that uses sound and vibration as a tool for promoting healing effects on the body, the mind, the spirit. So when referring to sound healing, usually the types of instruments that are used are antique Tibetan singing bowls, gongs, drums, tuning forks. There's many instruments, but those are like the main ones. And there's others, rattles, chimes, etc. But it's ancient, but I think it has become probably in the past 10 years. Slowly, we're starting to remember the wisdom, the ancient wisdom that our ancestors had, that we've kind of forgotten. And so we are, they're doing more scientific studies on the benefits of sound healing. And so, there's many, and it does affect all aspects of our being, physiologically, emotionally, mentally, spiritually.
And I noticed when you shared the different instruments, if it's okay to call them that, yes, instruments, they pulsate, they vibrate, they're instruments that many people hard of hearing will talk about. They put their hand on that type of instruments to sense the sound. So how does sound and vibration help the body relax and reduce stress? Is that what's going on, the vibration of it?
Yes, it's the premise of the healing aspects of sound are based on the law of resonance through the principles of entrainment. And so entrainment happens when one rhythmic vibratory object synchronizes with another. So physically, this happens when the body's energetic frequency synchronizes to the harmonic frequencies of the Tibetan singing bowls, so causing our bodies to vibrate in harmony and become relaxed. So for just like a little visual example of entrainment is when there's several pendulums in a room swinging, they're all swinging at different paces. After a few, after a little while, they all synchronize and they all start swinging at the same pace. And it's just the law of entrainment, that happens. And so another little quick example is also like women, like when you get a group of women that work together or live together, our menstrual cycles synchronize. That's entrainment. It's just like the energies want to become synchronized. So if they're off, they slowly just synchronize. And because everything is vibration, our bodies will synchronize to the higher frequencies of the Tibetan bowls and these vibratory instruments.
Absolutely fascinating. I wonder, I'm trying to think when my little French bulldog goes to sleep on my chest, how we end up breathing together almost. And they tend to breathe quicker, but when she's very relaxed and sleeping, I notice we're just moving.
Right.
And our breath in the same, that's really amazing. That's just incredible. So what is it about the Tibetan singing, right? Aren't they called singing bowls?
Yes, yes.
What is it about them in particular?
Well, the Tibetan singing bowls, and particularly the antique ones, they're made out of an alchemy of 7 different types of metals. And each metal carries its own frequency. And so when you combine the metals, they create many, many harmonics, overtones, undertones, which create the effect of a binaural beat, which has been shown to be very beneficial in accessing different brainwave states. And so I'm going to just demonstrate really quickly. I have a bowl here. And so I just want you to just hear the sound, and like you'll hear the harmonics and the overtones and undertones. And some, they produce so many tones that our human adult ear can't even hear. So they produce like ultrasounds and infrasonic waves. So we can only hear a little bit of it, but it's very interesting. So I'm just gonna. So if you can hear that kind of little sound, those are kind of some of the different harmonics that are being emitted with the through the bowls. And then when you place several of them together, you're just creating thousands and thousands of harmonics. So what happens when we're listening to it, we're hearing it not just with our ears, but our physical body is also experiencing it. And when we switch to when we experience a different brainwave states, normally, like right now, we're in beta brainwave. We're, it's alert, we're active, we're thinking, but when you start to relax, you sink into a little bit more like the alpha brainwave state. That's kind of like more a little dream time or daydreaming. And then when you sink deeper into like a deep state of relaxation, it's like the theta brainwave state. And then some people also go into delta, they fall asleep, and that's okay. But the importance of that is that when we are in a theta brainwave state, we tap into like a very deep level of relaxation, but we also access our subconscious mind. And that's where we store a lot of our memories, belief systems, things that don't serve us, that we are walking around in life and we don't even know they're impacting our lives. And so if we're able to access it and then process it consciously, we can then release it.
Wow, that's fascinating to me and makes complete and utter sense, to be honest, about accessing that and then releasing that. That's really, and I know I've heard you speak about the vagus nerve, and what is that? Again, what does that, how does that play into all this again?
Yeah, so the vagus nerve is located at the base of the skull, and it branches out like right at the very base, you know, like the brainstem, and it's a gangling of nerve. It's like a long nerve that actually branches out to the brain and to every major organ of the body. And so when we stimulate the vagus nerve with harmonic frequencies, we're sending harmonic relaxing vibration throughout the entire body, throughout all the organs. And that can be very healing because we don't, in our everyday state, you know, we're not, like Kathleen mentioned, you know, we're sometimes not in a very relaxed, you know, soothing state. So we're stressed, we're worried, we're busy running around. And so if we can stimulate the vagus nerve and, you know, have it impact all of our organs and our brain, it affects the entire body.
So in our class, would you describe for everyone what happens when we're using that healing sacred sound? What's that class like?
So for the class, normally in a sound healing session, we start with an intention. And so the intention is general for the group. And as I'm playing the bowls, I'm energizing that intention. So it helps everybody. So usually it's like, for groups, it's usually peace or calmness, tranquility, balance, things like that. But what happens is, as I'm playing the bowls and everybody's experiencing the vibration, I'm focused on sending out that intention with the vibration. And so as everybody, because the bowls, I mean, really it's the beauty of the bowls is that they do most of the work for me because the vibration is being sent out. And so for people that even have a hard time relaxing, you almost can't help to relax because the vibration is actually entraining with the brain. It's synchronizing both hemispheres of the brain and getting you to that point of allowing the body to sink into deep relaxation. And so, so what people find is that as you're relaxing, a lot of times people end up taking that big sigh or big breath, which is releasing stress, releasing tension. I think one of the biggest things is for people that have like busy minds. Sometimes it's hard to stop thinking of your to-do list, and you know, so as they're going through the process, I just remind people to, if thoughts come, like just allow them to flow, and then just redirect the attention to the breath, because then that way, then the sound and the vibration keeps doing the work of just letting the person sink into a deep state of relaxation, because the harmonics are working to entrain the brain and to balance both hemispheres of the brain.
Now, I'm so pleased that you said that. Quite a while ago, I think Kathleen and I talked about this, and I noticed this too, depending on when I'm able to meditate and what's happened in the day. And it's that monkey chatter.
Right.
And I constantly have heard, including in my own family, well, I can't, you know, I just, you know, my brain just goes somewhere else. And it's really hard for many of us to hear that's okay. Just come back to your breath or come back to the sound or whatever it is. It's okay. You know, because we go, oh, there I go. See, I knew I couldn't do this. So it's being able to say, there is no trick to this. It's just okay.
Right.
Yeah, interesting.
Right.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So what do you do if you don't own Tibetan singing bowls or other vibration or vibrational instruments? I mean, how do you get the benefits of that healing sound without all these instruments?
Well, there are different techniques that we can do. And I think Kathleen mentioned some, like, maybe chanting mantras, toning vowel sounds. But there's also a technique that is actually vibratory. And the beauty of being a human being is that we have a voice and our voice has sound and carries vibration, and it's perfectly tuned to what our body needs. So one of the things that there's a gentleman, Jonathan Goldman. He's like one of the pioneers of sound healing. He has a book called The Humming Effect. And several scientists have already done research on the humming effect, that the M sound, when you hum the M sound, like it actually stimulates the vagus nerve, because you're stimulating like your entire jaw, your nasal, the sinus cavities, but it's also stimulating the vagus nerve. And so that vibration, again, is traveling to the brain and all the organs of the body. So if you do this humming for 1 minute, 3 minutes, you're actually sending healing vibration to your body, and it can be done anywhere. You can be in the shower, driving, anywhere. So you don't need an instrument, you just need your voice. So one of the things that I'd like to demonstrate is just the M sound, because you can vibrate, you can say and it's good. However, if you touch the side of your nose and hum the M sound, if you can change the sound or the tone to where you feel it more on the side of your nose, like for me, I can really feel it. That's actually very powerful, because what scientists have discovered is that humming sound, and when you can really feel it here, it actually produces nitric oxide, which helps to boost our immune system. And so, so there's, by doing this exercise, it also causes us to take a deep breath, like to hum the M sound, and it signals, as Kathleen said, it signals to our brain and our parasympathetic system that everything's safe, we're safe, everything's okay, and it causes our body to relax and release stress. So kind of it all works together.
I had never heard of that, and I absolutely can feel it, and that makes total sense. And it makes me think as well, especially with children. In my earlier work with children, there were hummers.
Yes.
Think about it. There were certain children, and I wonder if that was a self-soothing they just kind of came up with. Isn't that fascinating?
Yes. I do think that it's like an innate knowing that our body needs that. Yes.
Wow, that is wonderful. Well, as everyone can see, we are truly blessed to have these two experts walk us through and guide us. And I know there is one other thing that is very helpful for folks, and we didn't get to talk about that. And it's about tense and release. And I wanted to remind folks about that. And something that I'm particularly fond of, because it works so well for me, I will share. As a youngster, I had some serious inner ear and lower brain surgery. And the surgeon taught me what then I didn't know was guided imagery. And he said, okay, Allie, you know what? I know this is scary and there's a lot. I lost some balance. I couldn't hear like I used to. He said, you and I are going to go for a walk together. Close your eyes. You pick your favorite place to walk and you grab my hand and let's take a walk. And I want you to tell me what you see. And it was, first of all, how impressed, and I wonder, was that the seeds of my ending up working in the medical world or not? Could have been, right? But also how extraordinary for this brilliant surgeon, Lenox Hill Hospital, New York City, to have thought to do that with a 10-year-old. Really special. But I thought, I'm looking, I don't see any questions. So before I move into that, I'm going to ask Kathleen perhaps to lead us through a little guided imagery. Would that be okay?
Oh, sure.
Okay, well, let me give everyone a chance. Do you have any questions you'd like to ask of our experts? Please put them in the chat, in the Q&A. I got it, Heather, in the Q&A, not the chat. If you're thinking about that, that's fine. And if you don't have any, that's fine. I do want to remind you, these classes are here. They are for those that are newly diagnosed with cancer, that are in cancer treatment, or are cancer survivors. So please, they are open to you. You do have to register for these classes. For me, the easiest way is either I've given it earlier online, which is eisenhowerhealth.org/calendar, yes, or 760-834-3798. Sometimes I think I give wrong numbers, but I think Heather's not making faces at me, so I think it's okay. Good, thank you. So please join us for these extraordinary classes. And thank you, Sherry, saying this is so helpful. You know, it's really helpful for me too. As I said, it's been quite the week for me for a variety of reasons, and hearing just those little pieces you shared were very helpful to me. I appreciate you both so very much, and your commitment to caring for our patients in our community. So Kathleen, as we end, would you lead us all in a little guided imagery?
Oh, sure, be my pleasure. Thank you very much for asking.
Okay.
Let us
Would it be okay if I play a little bit while you're doing it?
Certainly, that would be great, Mixel.
Thank you.
Invite you to close your eyes and focus on your breath beyond the tip of your nose, as if you could see a bubble coming towards the tip of your nose as you're breathing in and slowly breathing out. We're going to do this 2 more times. Breathing in, know that you're breathing in. Breathing out, know that you're breathing out. And again, a nice, slow, feeling the sensation of the cool puff of fresh air as you're breathing in. And then slowly releasing, letting go of the stress, relaxing in your chair, feeling grounded as you're breathing out. And now, in your imagination, I'd like you to envision a beautiful sun about 6 inches above your head. And this beautiful yellow sun is sending you positive healing rays that are draping and flowing right over the top of your head or your crown. Feeling the positive, warm energy coming into your body slowly as you're breathing in and easily breathing out. And this beautiful healing energy is flowing easily down through the skull, behind your eyes, pushing out anything that doesn't serve you in terms of stress, tension, worry. Just let it go as it's flowing out through the tips of your fingers or out through the toes of your feet. Just feel this beautiful, warm sense of healing energy. Slowly now coming to the shoulders, bringing the shoulders down. Relaxing the arm muscles, letting go, feeling relaxed as you're breathing in and slowly breathing out. And now I invite you to see yourself someplace in nature. Perhaps it's your go-to place in nature. See yourself there right now on a beautiful, warm spring day. Feeling the warm sand coming through the toes. getting a sense of the fragrance in the air as you're breathing in and slowly breathing out. I, for one, like to go by the ocean and sense and feel the beautiful, cool, white waves coming to shoreline. And then on the recess, the tide goes out, as well as your breath, as you're breathing in and slowly breathing out. Getting a sense of the salt water and the salt air against your face and over your lips as you're breathing in and slowly breathing out. And as you look out onto the ocean, you see a beautiful pair of dolphins in a small pod. And these dolphins are happy. They're jumping up in the air and back down, as if to entertain each and every one of you listening or watching on this Zoom call, letting you know that things are all right, that you are definitely calm and at peace as you're watching the beautiful waves roll in to the shoreline, as you're breathing in and slowly breathing out. In the distance, you can see some seagulls flying in the sky. It's so comforting, so relaxing just to let go and allow your feet to sink a little deeper in the warm sand, knowing that this is your time to come to stillness as you feel relaxed and at peace by hearing the tone and the sound of the waves as you're breathing in and slowly breathing out. In a moment, we'll be coming back to the present moment. But until then, I invite you to take a panoramic view from left to right and to see what you see in your place in nature. Yes, I took you to the ocean, but perhaps you went someplace else that was to your calling, to your need, as you're relaxing and feeling one with your body as you're breathing in and peacefully breathing out. So on the count of 3, I will bring you back to the present moment. But until then, really get a sense of where you are, knowing that you can return to your beautiful place in nature, listening to the sounds, being aware of the fragrances, the textures, anything else that really provides soothing relaxation for you. Breathing in on the count of 3, coming back closer into the body, being more aware of your toes and your fingers. On the count of 2, starting to wiggle your hands, coming back into the body. And on the count of 1, opening those beautiful eyes and feeling still and calm as you're breathing in and slowly breathing out. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank you, Kathleen. That was just perfect. Thank you so very much. For those of you that are with us, Heather has put in the chat information on how to register for classes. We do hope that you will join us. I thank you both for your time and your expertise and your caring. Much appreciated. Have a wonderful day, everyone, and thank you.
Thank you, Alison.
Thank you.
Bye.
Namaste.